All right, so ready to take a deep dive into schema markup for websites.
Let's do it.
We've got a bunch of your sources right here, and we're going to break this down together.
Yeah.
Why should you care about schema?
Right.
How can you actually use it to get your website noticed?
For sure.
Think of this as like your crash course in making Google work for you.
I like that. Making Google work for you, because that's exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
You put all this work into your website, but is Google really showcasing it the way you want? Schema markup is like having a direct line to tell Google what your content is all about.
Okay, so not just keywords anymore. We're talking about giving Google a deeper understanding.
Way deeper. Think of it this way. You're searching for a new blender.
Okay.
2 listings pop up. One just says Super Blender 3000.
Right.
And the other has star ratings, tells you it's in stock locally, and even highlights a discount.
Wait, hold up. I'm already clicking on that second one. It knew what I wanted before I even finished typing.
Right.
I'm starting to see why this matters.
Exactly. That second listing is speaking Google's language. It's using schema markup to provide all those extra details that catch your eye and make you want to click.
Yeah.
And that's what we want for your website.
Okay, so how do we even begin to speak this schema language?
Yeah.
Our sources mention different types, like for products or recipes. How do we choose?
It's like choosing the right tool for the job, right?
Right.
You want to use the schema type that best matches the content you're highlighting.
Okay.
Let's say you have a killer chili recipe on your food blog. Using recipe schema lets you display those mouth-watering photos,
Ooh, yeah.
cooking time, and even spice level right in the search results.
Okay, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Right.
But seriously, that makes a huge difference. No more clicking through a bunch of links just to find out if a recipe is even what you're looking for.
Exactly. And the beauty is there's a schema type for almost anything you can think of.
Oh, well.
Local business, there's a schema for that.
Ah.
Promoting an upcoming event.
Yeah.
Schema can highlight dates, times, even ticket availability.
So I'm guessing Best Buy used some type of product schema, right?
Oh.
Because our source mentions they had a 30% increase in click-throughs after implementing it.
You got it. Now, I dug a little deeper into that Best Buy example.
Oh, hey.
They actually use product schema to highlight specific details like price, customer ratings, and even if the product was in stock at nearby stores. That's the kind of granular information that makes people click.
Okay, I'm sold on the why, but the how still feels a little mysterious.
Yeah.
Do I need to be a coding expert to implement this?
Not at all. There are user-friendly tools like Google's Structured Data Markup Helper. It guides you through the process, like step by step. You choose the right schema type for your content, fill in the blanks with your information, and the tool generates the code for you.
So it's kind of like filling out a form, and Google does the heavy lifting in the background.
Exactly.
But then what? Where does this code even go?
Think of your website like a house. The content you see is like the furniture and decorations, but behind it all, there's a framework. That's the HTML code. You simply paste the schema code snippet into the HTML of your web page, and Google can now read it like a set of instructions.
All right, that's making more sense.
Yeah.
So we've got the what and the why down, and even a peek at the how, but we've only just scratched the surface, haven't we?
We have.
What about advanced strategies?
Yeah.
Like this nested schema I keep hearing about.
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
And we'll dive into all that juicy stuff right after this.
Okay, so before we went on that little tangent, we were just starting to get into some of the more advanced schema strategies.
Right.
This whole nested schema thing sounds pretty intense. Is this where I need to pull out my coding dictionary?
No, not at all. Think of nested schema like building a multi-layer cake. You start with a base layer, then add another layer on top, and maybe even a third layer for extra richness.
All right.
Each layer complements the others, creating a more complex and delicious whole.
Okay, I can picture that. I'm a big fan of cake analogies.
Right.
So in terms of schema, how does this layering actually work?
Good question.
What kind of information would we be combining?
Let's stick with that Best Buy example. They have a product page for that Super Blender 3000, right?
Right.
Their base layer would be the product schema, highlighting key details like the brand, model number, price, and maybe some technical specs.
Right. That's what we talked about earlier, making sure Google knows it's a product and what kind of product it is.
Exactly. But now let's say they want to showcase customer reviews, like directly on the search results page.
Okay.
Instead of just having a star rating, they could use nested schema to pull in actual review snippets like, "This blender crushes ice like a dream," or quietest blender I've ever owned.
Okay, now I'm seeing the power of nested schema. It's like bringing the most persuasive parts of the product page right to the Google search.
Exactly.
You're not just telling Google it's a great blender. You're showing them why it's great, straight from the mouths of happy customers.
You got it. And
Yeah.
the best part is it's all still structured data that Google can easily understand and display in those richer search results. It's like giving them a VIP backstage pass to the most compelling aspects of your content.
So it sounds like nested schema is a way to add layers of context and detail. But is it really worth the extra effort?
Sure.
I mean, does it actually move the needle in terms of clicks and engagement?
Absolutely. Google loves structured data.
Okay.
The more you give them, the better they can understand your content and reward you with better visibility.
Right.
Think about it from a user's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If you see a search result with detailed information, reviews, and even visuals, you're way more likely to click on it than a bare-bones listing.
Makes total sense. It's like that old saying, show, don't tell. You're not just telling Google your product or content is amazing. You're proving it with nested schema.
Exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of schema markup, how it plays into the world of voice search.
Oh, yeah. Our sources mentioned that too. Voice search seems like it's taking over the world.
Right.
Everyone's talking to their smart speakers and phones these days. How does schema factor into that?
Well, voice search is all about asking questions in natural language, like you're talking to a real person.
Yeah.
And schema markup can help Google understand the intent behind those questions and deliver the most relevant answers.
So it's not just about keywords anymore. It's about anticipating what people are actually asking.
Precisely. Let's say someone asks their voice assistant, how do I change a tire?
Mm-hmm.
If your website has a step-by-step guide with how-to schema implemented,
Okay.
Google can easily recognize that your content provides a direct answer to that query.
Ah, so using the right schema type, like how-to in this case, is like telling Google, hey, this is exactly the kind of information someone asking that question is looking for.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's all about providing structured data that aligns with the way people naturally search for information, whether they're typing keywords or speaking to a voice assistant.
Okay, this is starting to feel like we're getting into the matrix of Google search.
Right.
But I'm really starting to grasp how powerful schema can be.
Yeah.
And we're just getting started. There's so much more to explore in the world of schema markup. But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's take a moment to recap what we've learned so far.
Sounds good.
I think our listeners could use a quick breather before we dive into the final part of this schema deep dive. We'll be back in a jiffy. All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into this whole schema markup thing.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot, from like the basics to some seriously like ninja level strategies.
Right.
I'm feeling pretty empowered. Like I could go out and just conquer Google search right now.
That's the spirit. But before you unleash your schema superpowers on the world,
Yeah.
let's take a moment to look ahead.
Okay.
What does the future hold for schema markup? How is it going to evolve as search engines get even smarter and users become even more discerning?
Okay. Crystal ball time.
Yeah.
What are your predictions? Is schema going to be even more important down the line?
Absolutely. Schema markup is like a good investment. It's only going to become more valuable over time. As search engines get better at understanding user intent and delivering personalized results. Structured data will be the key to unlocking those like next level search experiences.
So it's not just a trend.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental shift in how we communicate with search engines.
Right, exactly. It's like moving from smoke signals to high-speed internet.
Wow.
We're giving search engines a clearer, more direct way to understand what our content is all about and who it's for.
One of our sources mentioned that we should prioritize implementing schema on our most important pages first.
Right.
It's like getting the biggest bang for our buck.
That's a smart strategy, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
Focus on the pages that drive the most traffic or conversions, and you'll start seeing the impact of schema right away.
Okay. They also emphasize staying up to date with new schema types and updates from schema.org. It sounds like this isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Definitely not. The world of schema is constantly evolving, with new types and properties emerging all the time.
Right.
Staying informed is crucial to ensuring your schema markup remains effective and aligned with the latest best practices. It's like keeping your website's software updated.
Okay.
You want to make sure you're running the latest version for optimal performance.
Okay. So besides staying up to date,
Yeah.
What other trends do you see on the horizon for schema markup? Any predictions that might blow our listeners' minds?
Well, I think we'll see even more specialized schema types emerge, catering to specific industries and niches. Imagine having a dedicated schema type for vintage clothing retailers or craft breweries.
Wow, yeah.
The more granular we get with schema, the better search engines can connect users with the exact content they're looking for.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It's like having a custom tailored search engine for every possible interest or need.
Right.
And what about the role of artificial intelligence?
Right.
Is AI going to play a bigger role in how we use schema?
Absolutely. AI-powered tools are already helping us automate schema implementation, identify errors, and even predict which schema types will be most effective for specific content.
So AI is like our schema sidekick, making the whole process smarter and more efficient.
Exactly. And I believe we'll see even more sophisticated AI applications in the future, potentially even generating schema markup dynamically based on real-time user behavior and search trends.
That's mind-blowing. It sounds like schema markup is going to be an essential part of the search landscape for years to come.
It is, and it's a journey we're all on together.
Yeah.
The more we learn about schema, the better we can leverage its power to create amazing search experiences for our users.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember about schema markup?
Schema markup is more than just a technical SEO tactic. It's a way to communicate directly with search engines, enhance user experience, and future-proof your website for the evolving world of search. It's a powerful tool that anyone can learn and benefit from.
Well said. I think we've given our listeners a solid foundation to start exploring the world of schema and unleashing its potential.
I hope so. And remember, the world of search is constantly changing, so stay curious, keep learning, and never stop experimenting.
That's great advice for life in general. Thanks for joining us on this schema markup deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep scheming.